With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Tonight, the PRL Truck Series visits the great state of Connecticut as we're live at the virtual Stafford Motor Speedway. Welcome in here tonight to PRL Truck Series action on a Wednesday night here live on RaceSpotTV. Welcome in, everyone, and hope you're all staying warm across the country. That seems to be the theme as we just about are into the month of February. Welcome in, everyone. My name is Derek Watson. I am doing lead commentary tonight. Evan Pasoko's off traveling outside the country. Next to me is Brad Dalton. Brad's going to make his PRL debut tonight. And Brad, you have picked one heck of a short track to make your debut.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world, everybody. Derek, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's kind of ironic that this is called Precision Racing League, PRL, and we're at a track that when I saw it, I had to do a double take. I was like, are we running here, Stafford? This is going to be a track that requires every bit of precision that these trucks can find. It's as we see someone spinning off on the backstretch on the exit of 2. I mean, it's going to be a common theme tonight that precision is going to be demanded because it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting indeed. Well, listen, if you're cold tonight, think about next week. Next week, we're in virtual Florida. It'll be warm, at least on the track, and we're there for 2 weeks in a row. Homestead Miami Speedway and Daytona are the next 2 races. And then after that, Atlanta Motor Speedway, the new version. And then we'll finish with COTA and Phoenix Raceway. Remember, and after next week, the drop weeks will count into the points. But speaking of the points, Brad, I mean, look at this. It's pretty tight up top.
Yeah, looking at the points through after last week, Bradley Hawley with 136 points with Ted Lowendick at 135. Reese Bogue, 118. Matt Gagnon, 115. Stephen Kirby, 110. Mark Kalin, 99. Richard Reagan Jr. at 93. Steve Loving, 92. Colton Lane, 88. And Colton Easterday at 86. Those top 10 are sitting very close in drivers and in the teams. Whataback Racing, 271 with Reagan Bogue Motorsports at 211. The Gold Octopus RBM at 206. Reagan Bogue Developmental, 196. And Buster's Buds Racing Club, top 5 there at 179. And it's very, very close on those team standings as well. Nothing's decided yet in the points. I'm curious to see how things round out for the rest of this season. This is one that I'll have to keep eyes on because it's gonna be a close run there.
Yeah, it's going to be close, and one night could change any of these points around. You never know what could happen. I mean, one good night for Richard Regan and Reese Bogue, and they could easily catch up to Whataback for the first place. All right, but before we get into more action here tonight, let's go ahead and take a moment and thank our sponsors for the evening. Starting with Logitech. Logitech wheels and pedals are equipped with true force feedback to help you feel the road and own the race. Now use the code PRECISION at checkout on logitechg.com for a 5 to 10% discount on all of your purchases. Next up, owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox offers mid to high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from a casual gamer up to the most meticulous of sim racing drivers. They are competitively priced and carefully handcrafted are their button boxes, and they're an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Get this. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and you can get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code. Next is the Butt Kicker. The Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game you play. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. Visit moradness.com today. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. You can capture your finest, proudest, or well, simply your worst racing moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. Those pictures are a great addition to any sim racing room. And last but not least, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their social media accounts to become a better driver today. Well, boy, oh boy, Brad, that one Mr. Head said they're people's proudest, finest, worst moments. I think we'll have a lot of those in every aspect of this short track at Stafford Motor Speedway. It's a half-mile track, very little banking. I think there's, 38 to 40 trucks here. It's going to be a madhouse.
A madhouse is, I think, putting it lightly. I know these drivers have a lot of skill, right? I know these drivers are very strong drivers. But there's something to be said about when you put this many trucks on a track this small that's known for the open-wheeled SK Modified series, and you go and you pile in trucks on a track this small, it's kind of just like, it's the equivalent of a hydraulic press, you know, when you see those videos of hydraulic presses pressing down on like a bowling ball, and eventually the bowling ball just explodes.
Yep,
that's essentially what we've got here. Yeah.
Oh boy, look at that wiggle from Matthew Zerowick. I think he got his first lap in, and then that might have been a second lap right there, and that truck wiggled really hard on the front straight. Hopefully we won't see that tonight. But here is Mike Toomer Jr. Mike's already put in his first lap of a 20.044. And I mean, right now, pole time's up in the 19, so he's got a little bit of work to do here if he wants to get in anywhere near the front. He's currently sitting 34th.
Yeah, but even when you look at it, 34th to first, 19.5 to a 20.04, now a 20.03. I mean, that's a tight spread on this field. And the thing that I'm really interested in seeing is when you get those trucks together that close. I mean, if you know anything about classic short track racing, this is going to be essentially everyone channeling in their short track racing experience and just doing it in a truck. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to see some bump and runs tonight. I'm sure we're going to see some tempers flare potentially, as is indicative of all short track racing. This is going to be a good show. I'm glad that I'm here for this.
Yeah, something I want to talk about too, and we'll see it really quickly when we get our grid set here. Although the times from first down to the bottom of the grid may be close together, the spacing on the track on this start and every restart we have tonight is going to be massive. The leader is going to be taking the green, and I bet there's some trucks still stuck on the back straight. But we'll talk about that, as right now is just about time to get our starting grid finalized here for this great race here at Stafford Motor Speedway. And here we go. Let's take a look as we see that Richard Regan Jr., no surprise there, a short track specialist, has taken the pole in 19.546. Ted Lowendick, last year's champion, is in P2. Thomas Sink and Reese Bogue third and fourth, with Daniel Knight and Stephen Kirby rounding out row number 3. Andrew Sharp is in seventh, with Nicholas Schwartz in P8. Kevin McGarvey and Jeff Evans round out your top 10. And then Bradley Holly and Zachary Burnt round out your top 12.
Moving on from there, we've got P13, Joey Reynolds, Matt Gagnon in P14, Brett Adams in 15th place, and Zach Panzarella in P16. Nathan Deering in 17th, and Alex Hillman will bring it in to P18. Your next 6 trucks as it sits: Evan Williams in 19th, Mark Kalen in 20th, 21st, Jacob Dunn, Austin Hunter bringing it in 22nd, and 23rd is going to be Doug Evans, and 24th will be Kyle Dewey.
Let's round it back to row 13, pardon me, not P13. Garrett Austin and Brandon Chatley with Austin Bumgarner and Stacy Hunter behind them. And then Colton Easterday and James Morgan of Tabula Rasa Esports rounds out your top 30. Colton Lane in 31st, Steve Lubbing in 32nd. Zachary Williams and Mike Chimmer round out 33rd and 34th. Nicholas Hunter and Tom Emasi go all the way back to 36th. Then Edward Peltz, Ryan Newman, and Dalton Geyer are the 39 cars that took time here. Of note, Doyle Lawrence, Patrick Cowgill, and Matthew Zarewick, no qualifying times. That's back to 42 trucks on this short track. Again, Brad, 42 trucks on this short track.
And there you go, all of them gridded up. They're going all the way back through. So at the start line, they go all the way back through turn 4, hitting turn 3. So yeah, when we come to the green, they're going to be all the way around back on the backstretch still. This is going to be an interesting race start because those trucks a bit further back, they're going to have to get on the throttle while they're still trying to get into the corner. It's going to be some of those guys in the back are going to have a challenge tonight.
Yeah, and Patrick Cowgill, for one, I know, not able to qualify tonight due to the penalty from last week. And that, I mean, and not allowed to qualify a penalty always kind of hurts, right? I mean, that's just, it hurts. But not qualifying at this place, that's like a mountain to climb.
That is actually probably worse than getting disqualified for this race. So we bring it through this formation lap. Should be fairly quick. Truck swerving it around, getting ready to go. This is buckle it up.
We'll go 2 laps. That is the iRacing standard for parade laps or pace laps, if you will. So everyone kind of gets a moment to gather their emotions, gather their nerves, gather what have you, and be ready. I heard a quote today that said, "Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get your last deep breath," and that really stuck out to me as I was thinking about our race tonight. Like, this may be the last moment of calm we have for the next 60-some minutes. So, Brad, I mean, obviously, I think if you were a driver here, you'd want to start inside lane, correct?
Yep, I want to be inside lane front row, and then I am just going to stomp the throttle as soon as I see that green flag and just get it done.
Here we go, 60 minutes of racing, 42 trucks, a half mile, and one winner to be claimed as the 56 Rich Regan takes the green. Well, it didn't take long. That's a single lap right there, less than 30 seconds at this track in these trucks. And Richard Regan may have the giant lead, but the rest of the field's kind of got, oh, big wreck, hold on. Ooh. That is going to be some of the Daly's drivers. No yellow flag on the track. Wow, we're going to stay green after that. There it is. There's the yellow flag.
Wow, that took a while to come out.
59's involved, 21's involved. Let's take a look at some of those drivers. That's going to be, wow. That's Brandon Chatley.
Colton Easterday facing backwards.
Easterday was in there facing, and Colton coming off a really great run last week at the Chicago Street Course, having a not so great start to this race. So we'll wait a moment for the replay machine to load it up and find it here and see what happened on track as we're watching drivers go around here and get lined up for what's likely to be first of, I don't wish it upon it, Brad, but probably our first of many cautions today.
We're going to have a few just based on, again, the amount of trucks that are here. Everyone's going to be a little feisty here. It's going to be interesting to see. We got the replay coming through. It starts out with Zach and 28 just trying to dive low there. Not 2 into 1 doesn't go. But short track racing, you're going to try to send it.
Looked like maybe he became the meat in the sandwich, right? He kind of got down there and realized he wanted to check up for the car in front of him, and then somehow just kind of got turned around, and from there calamity ensued. Let's watch it from Stacy Hunter's point of view, and let's see what's going to happen. Watch straight ahead here. Big checkup on him. He got in the back of one of the Buster cars. That's Chatley, I believe, in the 59 right there. And that's just short track racing, right? It's hard to diagnose what to do in those moments at a short track, right, Brad?
Yeah, and especially when you're sitting in a situation like that, you're midfield and something starts to happen in front, you got 1 of 2 options. put the swivel on and try to avoid it, or really, really cross your fingers, cross your toes, and hope that the truck behind, checks up and sees that you're checking up, which sometimes isn't going to happen like we saw there. Here we go with Easter Day. Let's see what happened. There's Easter Day getting the send around, and then there is another 95 getting the send around there. Easter Day just kind of getting tapped, trying to do the avoid there, honestly, and unfortunately somebody else not doing, the best avoid job there, but you only got so much track space.
All right, well, here we go. The good news about this track, if there is any, is that the pace laps are also quick. So we're double file and ready to go green again. It's Regan, Sink, Knight, Lowendick, and Andrew Sharp now your top 5. So some spots did move around. Richard Regan's going to wait for the moment here to take the green from the inside lane, that black and red machine. And there it is, green flags back out. Look at that massive jump he's going to get here as they're 2 wide all the way back.
Now watch them as they go through here. That number 48, Thomas Sink, trying to go here in the mid-pack. Everyone really trying to fight things through. There's the 41, the 6, the 23. You're going to see all of these drivers try to get back single file fairly quick, even though they're running double file. Again, just channel your short track routes. What you want to do is you want to go single file and you want to just send it through. If you want to get a pass done, you want to do it to the inside. You don't want to be hung out to dry on that outside line. Unfortunately, it's what some people have right now, and that's just going to be where they're at. We're right on board here with Patrick Cowgill.
Yeah, Cowgill, remember we said, had that penalty, was not allowed to qualify. And he's currently sitting back here, I believe in 36. This is massively far back, right in the outside lane here. Now, you said you'd want to get to the bottom lane. The question is, would you want to fall backwards to get to the bottom lane, or do you want to keep fighting side by side until you find a clearing?
I mean, you never want to go backwards, but sometimes to go forward, you need to go back a spot. And if you know there's a clearing behind you and you can just settle in and nurse this truck to the end, because here's the thing, we still got 55 minutes of racing to go. And when you think about that, if you're not here in 55 minutes, whatever you've done right now doesn't matter. So you got to kind of channel that little run of, survival there.
Yeah, man, look at that gap that Regan has put in that stint analyzer truck on the field. Ted Lowendick's back to second place, and look at that. I mean, that right there is almost a second and a half, almost 2 seconds of a gap. I mean, you can tell Regan has plenty of real life racing experience. You can tell it's short track based because he's walking away. But Brad, it's not relevant right now, but if he keeps walking away like that, we're probably only about 10 laps before he finds lap traffic.
Yeah, and that's what he wants to do right now. If you're Richard Regan Jr., you just want to kind of lock in and go. As the 109, the 171, the 24 really showing some battles here down in that battle for 6th place. Richard Regan Jr., though, even if we are assuming there's going to be another caution coming up, he wants to walk the field right now, and he's doing it by about 2.5 tenths a lap as it stands. So he is just really trying to settle it in. He wants that gap. Really is just an intimidation tactic almost of just, hey, I'm in charge here. I'm the fastest here. Come catch me.
Yeah, look at this great battle going on. This is Andrew Sharp and the 24 on the inside. That's Stephen Kirby and the NWO machine on the outside, and another yellow flag is out. I don't have a visual on it yet, but I think it's going to involve Colton Easter Day. So we'll take a look and see what's going to happen here. But this is for the second time in about 6 minutes. We have a caution flag here. So if you do that, we're going to have like 20 cautions if we keep that pace. Let's take a look here and see what's going to happen. And just lost the truck. I think we'll wait to see if we get a close review, but I think that truck just got out from under him, Brad.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from that camera angle if he had help or not. There was someone back behind, and then all of a sudden he came through riding on board here.
Oh, that's
maybe
amazing.
A little bit of help.
Maybe a lot of it helped. That was not on purpose, but that was a pretty significant bump here. And these corners with the speed difference, one was slowed down, one wasn't, and Macy just sent him around. So watch it. He's got in the back right bumper, and then Easter Day up the hill. And I think Easter Day has just called it a day. I feel bad for Colton. Like I said, he finished really well last week at the Chicago Street Course of all tracks, and then tonight we're 6 minutes in and he is done for the evening.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see being in that situation as Brett Adams is here in the pits, coming out. A very very tricky pit lane here. Only a 4-second stop. It looks like maybe a little bit there on that left front that he might have just tried to get a quick little bit of a look at, just see how bad that damage is. May not be too bad.
And that may be all he can fix under caution here. I mean, with how quick the pace laps are, he may not get much more time than that. Depending on where he pitted from, with the pace car coming around, he may not have had more time than that to fix anything, right?
Yeah, honestly, and it's one of those, you don't really want to go down laps if you can avoid it on a track this short, because unfortunately, 1 lap turns to 2, and all of a sudden you're 5 laps down and, kind of out of contention at that point.
But I want to ask you, though, you say that, and I understand the point from a driver mentality if you always want to be lead lap, but if you and I are sitting here talking about the possibility of numerous cautions, wouldn't you kind of feel okay being a lap down knowing how many lucky dogs there's going to be?
I mean, personally, yeah, I would, but of course, that's one of those, you and me are in the box, you and me are in the booth, we can say it, we can think it. Drivers are going to think something completely different.
Absolutely. All right, well, for the 3rd time tonight, Richard Regan is going to lead this field around. This time, Ted Lowendick's on the outside. Then it's Daniel Knight, Reese Bogue, and Nicholas Schwartz, your top 5. That is a wild set of colors on the 17, but green flag is out. That's the color of the moment. And a decent jump by Regan, maybe not the jump he had before. And now it's going to be oh boy, look at that. Reese Bogue, his teammate to the inside. And let's see if Reese Bogue can keep up with him. These guys are teammates, they're best friends, both in sim and real life. They've discussed maybe moving closer together to work on real life racing. So these guys are pretty well connected in every way possible.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see that real life connection come to the track too, come to the virtual track and go through. There's a spin there with Williams going around. Gets back going, though. No caution thrown there. And so we are just going to keep it moving and grooving at the moment.
Yeah, PRL policy typically is if it says a 1-car spin, then we'll keep it green. There's a 2nd car involved, but everyone kept moving, and that's the important part. So he got down there to, I think that's going to be the Legends Oval, or one of them down there. And then he got up here and he's all his moving, got a nice rejoin. Well, here we are towards the back of the, maybe the middle of the field. I hate to say the back, and you see plenty of cars packed in here. This is right around the 14th spot. And that's going to be the 77 of Kevin McGarvey. Right there, that's the 3. That's one of the Tabula Rasa esports machines. Plenty of cars, just all looking for every inch of track they can find. And boy, look at that. Look at that. Andrew Sharp is stuck to the outside, Brad. Oh, there you got inside.
Yeah, Jacob Dunn just hit a spin back there in the background, right off the corner. It looks like he's gotten going yet again, and then McCarvey as well has decided to come through that in the 23rd place. Lots of drivers, it seems like, here, Derek, are just struggling to judge that corner entry, that corner run. They're really liking to put the bumper to each other, but the problem with trucks as opposed to any car is trucks are extremely light in the back end, so you put the bumper to someone's back of the truck, it's a problem. Jacob Dunn here, this is the replay, this is the one we caught right off the corner of the screen. That's the 3, the 5, the 77, little half spin, catches it. I think the 77 really lost out there.
I'd love to see a different angle of that. I'm not sure if Dunn lost it on his own or if maybe he got a small tap from the 5 at Deering that maybe helped that get around, but ooh, nice save by everybody involved in that moment there. Watch this here. Ooh, yeah, it's a small tap. And listen, that's a great job. And I think we should probably focus on that for a second, Brad. 3 or 4 guys could have been involved, and everyone got it saved, turned around, and we stay green.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that, you really have to be prepared for here in short track style racing is for anything to happen, something happens, somebody hits the back of your truck, you got to be able to, bundle it back up under you and keep going forward. And I mean, that's a great job there to see that come forward from Jacob Dunn to catch it. All of the drivers, I think, are doing a fairly good job of being very aware of what their truck is doing. We're starting to get to that point where I think drivers are trying to settle in a bit more. I don't believe in the commentator's curse, so I totally didn't just jinx anything. But drivers are really starting to settle in here for a longer bit of a run, and I think what we're going to see is drivers get a little bit more patience, be a little more calculated with their moves as they go.
Yep, there on the bottom of your screen, that black, gray, and blue machine, that's Patrick Cowgill there. He's up, I think it's 16 spots as of this moment from where he qualified. So he's trying to get through this field pretty quickly, and he recognizes the importance of getting moving. Of course, Patrick now part of DDI 44 ever. and Colton Lane up in the wall and to keep it moving. But wow, this is a new team for Patrick, he was going to say. But man, Colton, oh, look at that wiggle out of the corner. He is, I think now he's driving angry.
Yeah, Colton, keep that truck high. Just kind of hang out. If I'm him, I wouldn't be doing anything too competitive because that front right is very clearly damaged there, missing the entire fender at that point. He's going to lose a lot of pace, a lot of handle here in the corners, and we jump back up to the lead. Richard Regan Jr. finding his way, starting to carve through lap traffic.
That's the first one, I believe. That's Edward Peltz, who he just passed by. That was the 7 car. And also Ryan Newman in the 10, I believe he's passed by now. So that's just how quick lap traffic happens. There's Stacy Hunter turned around. We saw him involved in an incident earlier, and now he is trying to get back on track safely. This is a sketchy part of the track. I know it's where he has to do it. He doesn't have a choice, Brad. Let's watch this first off here. This is a different car. This is the 71. Now up in front of him, right there it happened. Yeah, there it is, up through the grass. But boy, when you have to rejoin off of pit road right there, that is scary.
Yeah, the pit entry, the pit exit, we haven't really talked about it, but it is probably the scariest part of the track, is of having 42 trucks on this track wasn't scary enough. We add in probably the most challenging pit entry, pit exit that we're going to have all season, and it adds for a lot of moments that can happen here. Again, if we start seeing any sort of pit stop cycles come in, if we start seeing any sort of question on fuel going through, again, we're running about 3 laps a minute here, about 20-second laps as it currently stands. So 3 laps a minute, you do the math, you can run about 130, 140 laps on a tank of gas in these trucks, rough numbers.
3 laps a minute, so 3 times 60 is 180. So yeah, I suspect a couple cautions and fuel's out of the way, but who knows what could happen here. But there's the gap again. There's some lap cars now in the way as we're looking back here through the field. That's Thomas Sink, I believe, we're looking back onto. And this is from the back of Ted Lowendick with that hockey-inspired machine. And look at this. And here's an interesting thought I want to bring up here, Brad. We are 4 races in. We've had some bigger racetracks in this. We've done a road course. This is the most trucks on track at 42 this season. We came to the shortest track, and somehow the most people showed up.
I think everyone was excited about it, honestly. I mean, again, I did the double take when I saw it was Stafford, and I said, okay, this is going to be a good race. This is a unique sort of setup for trucks, but it's an appropriate style, an appropriate setup, because you get the best of both worlds. You get that short track racing people love, and you get that, power of the trucks that everyone likes. Everyone likes the trucks because the trucks are kind of considered that baby step up into the big NASCAR series. To Xfinity, to Cup, is Kyle Dewey has decided to take his number 33 truck and cut some grass on the infield.
Yeah, picked up a lawn mowing gig on the weekend, didn't he? And this one's now they're going to get around here. He'll get lapped, unfortunately. We'll see if he can get that back throughout the race here, as we're now about 15 and a half minutes into this race here. All right, well, now let's go back to green flag racing. So, lap traffic's now really becoming a story. You're seeing it happen here across the track. You're seeing, Nicholas Schwartz trying to get by. Other trucks now, not only now trying to pass each other and navigate each other, but now has to worry about, my goodness, Nicholas Schwartz. That's to the back. I believe it's Ted Lowendick. Just a small, maybe, as the killers would say, just only a kiss, right?
Yeah, that's just a little love tap. That's just kind of a, hey, I'm here, just be aware, you're a little slow. And that's just a gentleman's tap there as we ride through. Here we go down on the low end here, following through with Nicholas Schwartz. And I'm going to tell you, if you're lap traffic at this point, just stay on the high line, get the heck out of the way. Just stay on the high line. You don't have to, I know. But again, we're looking at short track etiquette. I would say just jump to the high line, stay out of the way. That's what I've always been taught and told to do on short tracks. I know that that's a controversial topic, and we may not want to get into that here.
We can definitely get into it. That's okay. First, I want to say, though, I did say don't hit the baby. That's because Ted Lowendick has put pictures of Theodore Jr. on the back bumper. He thought that would make drivers less likely to hit his back bumper if it meant hitting the baby. And so far, Nicholas Schwartz has said, maybe not. There's Evan Williams down pit road. But I agree with you. I hold on, caution flag. Let's come back to that double lane talk and lap cars in a moment. We have a caution out, and it's gonna be the 59 of Brandon Chatley now involved in yet another incident. Let's wait and see what happens before we pass judgment. But about 42 minutes into the race, the yellow's out for the third time this evening. Well, Brad, it feels inevitable that this happened, and I think it might just be Brandon spinning on his own. We'll see if the replay comes up, but let's see what happens here before I ask you the question. So this is our leader, Richard Regan. Oh, went ahead and booped him, and around he went. So I was going to ask you, Brad, now we've seen that. If you're the top 10, if you're Regan, Bogue, Knight, Low and Dick on back through Sharp and 10th, is there a world? Never mind. I was going to ask you if there's a world where you pit, and I was thinking, no, that you keep the track position, but these guys all just went ahead and proved me wrong.
I was going to say I would personally pit at this point. I mean, we're 20 minutes into this race. I think this would be a good time because from here, by the math, you're not going to have any problems on fuel to get to the end. I mean, if you're feeling really brave, really crazy, slap on a fresh set of right side tires. But I wouldn't do a full set of tires personally. I'd slap right sides on, I'd fill it up with fuel, and then send it back on its way.
I don't know. Being the contrarian, though, what I think to myself in my head is we're going to have enough cautions to probably not have fuel matter. And I think the track position is more important than new tires here, especially if there are a number of cautions. I would probably value my track position. I understand if you're mid-pack, right? And I'm not picking names that if you were 11th on back, 15th on back, yeah, come with the new tires and make something of it. But if I'm Richard Regan, I don't know, dude. And I'm not sure. Let's take a look here. Not everyone pitted, by the way. Let's talk about that. Some names that didn't pit according to timing and scoring. Daniel Knight, Ted Lowendick, Nicholas Schwartz, Thomas Sink, Jeff Evans, Bradley Holly, Andrew Sharp, Matt Gagnon, Doug Evans, and Jacob Dunn, I believe, all stayed out here on this caution. So this is not a unanimous decision. Some drivers really did prefer track position.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting looking at it, honestly, looking at who decided to pit, who didn't, because now you have this weird situation where we only have 19 cars on the lead lap. Make that 20 as it goes, because we still see some cars kind of sorting it out. But yeah, now you've got this fun little mix-up of lead lap, lap down cars, and now those drivers who did decide to pit, they just need to basically keep it going at this point. They need to try to lap back and, get themselves back on the lead lap to make a difference. It's really shaking up this race, and 39 minutes, 56 seconds to go. It's kind of anyone's guess what happens here, but now you've also put the fast cars in the middle of the pack, in the middle of traffic, and if they, so much as sneeze, they could end up in the wall.
Yeah, so that's Richard Regan Jr. in the 56 in the bottom. He's the first car to pit. He is going to start P11, but here we go, back green again. For the first time tonight, Daniel Knight in the 17 leads us around, and he's going to wait here for Barney the flagman to put the green flag, and there it is, and we're back green at Stafford.
Nowhere near as much of a jump there for Daniel Knight to get going.
Oh, they're 3 wide. Oh my gosh. That's Richard Regan. That shows you how confident he is in those short track skills. He was 3 wide through the corner and got around the 41, got around the 3, now passing the 14. That's his teammate and Matt Gagnon. Oh, he's going to be 3 wide again. This can't keep working. That's Andrew Sharp. And there's Jeff Evans kind of throwing the block. Evans says, no, we're not going to play that game.
Yeah, but watch this. He's going to come through real quick. Richard Regan is going to say, no, this is my game to play, and let me show you how it's played. As we're still side by side, the 24 and the 14, basically bumping down the front stretch here, and now the fun thing that Richard Regan has caused is just a 3 wide chaos behind him. You're going to constantly have 3 wide until they can sort it out, and right as soon as I say it, they kind of settle it into double wide.
As long as Evans was holding up Regan, he was sort of creating a bottleneck behind him, and Regan eventually made the pass here. And there he goes again to the bottom in the next corner, I do believe. But that's Andrew Sharp. That's Patrick Cowgill down pit road. There's a black flag for Zerowick. There's a black flag for Cowgill, a black flag, for Austin Hunter. 3 black flags. I'm not sure of the cause of them. My guess is that there's going to be some pit road penalties. My goodness.
That is actually race ending potentially for those drivers
Oh, yeah.
because that is a huge chunk of time, a huge chunk of
Yep.
laps lost.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, even, whether it's a drive-through, whether it's a stop and go, it doesn't matter. At a track like this, oh, there's Kyle Dewey. He's going to spin it to the inside in the grass, and he'll hold it still, so we're going to stay green. But you're right. Right now, the story of this race is Richard Regan. He is carving this field. They're 3 wide behind him. My goodness, that was the 4 of Reese Bogue right in the middle, sort of taking from his mentor.
Yeah, Reese Bogue here following through. Dewey! Ooh! You got to mind the distance
Dewey
there.
or Dewey not's the question, and he almost did right there. He almost ended up right in the middle. There's someone in the middle, or in the track, pardon me. I think that was the 41, I think. Was the 171 and Nick Schwartz. Oh, there's Matthew Zerwick in 8. That's a lot going on here. Oh, my goodness.
I think Sarah's...
Watch this here. Oh, this is going to be... Oh, there's contact. Oh, that's contact between Regan and Schwartz. I'm not sure, without some better angles, who... Oh, no. Or Zerwick. Zerwick's an innocent bystander in that moment. There's Nick Schwartz down pit road. He would have got a penalty, by the way, for merging on the pit road right there under that thing and under that moment. And there we are. Caution's out. You see in the back of the field some smoke kicking up, and we're under caution for the 4th time. There's Thomas Sink spun around. And I think there's going to be more involved in that because I think that smoke is going to be up in, I think it was the next corner from there, I thought, but I don't know. Wow, that was a busy 3 minutes.
Yeah, only 3 minutes, and it felt like a 30-minute race just happened all at once. Man, that was a wild one there. Here we go with Thomas Sink. A little bit of help there, a little bit loose, and then another little love tap, and Thomas Sink is going to just sink back to the back of the lead lap here.
Wow, I mean, everything happened there. We still haven't had time to review all of what happened, but by the way, there's a 17 now down pit road. So Daniel Knight said he'll pit this time by. That's going to put Regan back to the lead. Unreal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I thought he would have had a harder time than that, Brad. Apparently, I was wrong. His score is now Brad 1, Derek 0, because I thought for sure that would have been a harder task. But there's everyone else down pit road. You see Lowendick's down there, Andrew Sharp's down there. I think they sort of got the memo, if you will, right? They now go, oh, hey, tires do matter.
Yeah, you wouldn't think tires make that much of a difference, but man, they really, really can here. If you think about it, we've done 60 laps, so
just
on board here. Whoo,
I'm gonna say that to me is Nicholas Schwartz moving around and bumping into Richard Regan. Well, without a better view, it's hard to make a final judgment, and that's not our job. But watch, well, maybe not. I don't know, because Regan was kind of pointed with his kind of front end pointed to the right. Whew. Boy,
I don't know.
It's going to be a busy night of racing for Race Control, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Race Control, if you need help judging these, do not call me. I want no part in this.
Yeah, I'm good.
Because,
thanks, right?
yeah, you're gonna have a long night here. This is gonna feel like a FIA. It's gonna be like 3 a.m. and drivers are gonna be getting called in to Race Control to explain themselves.
Well, it may be a long night, but it was a short night for Austin Hunter. Austin, is it just as chaotic down here as it feels from up here?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to talk too badly about the league. There was massive issues on that caution and restart that honestly screwed half the field over, and there's a lot of upset drivers right now.
So, I mean, up here, it looks like just like a riot in a daycare center. And I'm not talking about any issues with restarts. I mean, just the driving, the 2-wide racing at this short track. It looks like there's nowhere to go, right?
It's extremely hard to pass. You really have to work somebody over for a couple laps. The track was actually racing better than I expected it to. The fact that we were able to run side by side, and for the most part, if you got a good run, you were able to make a pass and somebody gave you the respect. But yeah, just things went south.
So we're back green racing here. From your perspective, from the laps you're able to turn tonight, like what's the key to success here? I mean, were you surprised how successful the new tires were that the first pack took?
I think so. I was too busy trying to figure out what was going on with all of our black flags to really enjoy the new tires that I took. But if you were able to get a solid drive off the corner, and we're really able to work somebody over that way. Just kind of running high, cut down low, drive underneath.
All right, well, there is another truck spun around. Well, listen, Austin, we're going to let you enjoy your evening as we see your brother Nick is now spun around in the grass, and we'll see you next week at Homestead.
All right, appreciate it. Not 100% sure I'll be there, but we'll try.
I will see you soon. That's Austin Hunter out of the race early. A short night for him. And watch this replay here, Brad. That's Jeff Evans on the inside. And, oh, man, that's a truck that got up in the wall that sort of created a check. There's Evans around and many others. Whew.
Man, yeah, that's again, that's that classic short track. One person has a problem and it can cause kind of that slinky reaction all the way through the field and just make things rough for everyone. Looks like most drivers here are starting to sort of roll it back to a degree. It was interesting to kind of hear the conversation there from Austin Hunter about just about how the things are going from the driver's perspectives, but I think you phrased it best. Isn't it as chaotic down there as it is up here? And I think the answer was yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, absolutely. That's Ted Lowendick, by the way. He's over the back end of the 21. That's Steve Love. And they're now battling hard as he's trying to get around that Coke Zero car. And I think he's going to get to the inside. He'll probably successfully make the pass here. Will Ted in that very bright, almost like a seafoam green, I guess is the best way, maybe a mint green, if you will. I don't know how you want to describe that, but I think it's got a hockey player on it. It's got a baby. It's got a gummy cluster on the front. There is nothing more you could fit on that truck, I don't think.
I wouldn't put that challenge out there because they'll show up next week with something else on there that we weren't planning for.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'll put the challenge out there. I mean, what else can we fit on the truck? And let's just see what he comes up with over the next week.
Yeah, you saw him making the pass there, but it was Jacob Dunn in 84. Here's Bradley Holly, by the way. This is his webcam. Now, you said earlier you love Lego sets. Now, watch Brad's wheel first off, and all the counter steal that happens here at the track. But I was going to say, you told me earlier pre-race you love Lego sets. Well, you'll love Bradley Holly's webcam. I'm sure your eyes are fixated on everything but Bradley Holly.
I mean, I see a certain Artemis shuttle back there that's very well lit up. And I see all of the Star Wars heads. I see the TIE Fighter. I see it all there. So I like this.
This is our driver cam view from Bradley Holly. He puts a webcam on his head so we can kind of see how everything relates. And you can see that big, wide monitor there. Look at all that wheel to the left. My goodness. Look how far in-game that wheel is turning.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's working this truck through, and it's no wonder that as we keep going, lap times are coming down or going up and getting a little bit slower as we stay on these green flag runs. Because there is a lot of tire scrub on the front end, I would guess, based on how far that wheel is going over.
Yeah, that's a great view on both ends there for Bradley Holly. Thank you, Brad, and all the others who give their webcams week by week so we can get those driver points of view and see everything. Now let's go back to that 109 machine. I referenced briefly the wrestling references here. And hold on, caution's out. Stephen Kirby. That's the second time we focus on Stephen Kirby that the cautions come out. He's sort of a commentator's curse wheel. Is that Matthew Zarowick spun around back there, I believe it is, the 8 car. We'll wait and see why. Yep, there he is. He's just waiting for his chance to turn it around. And I don't see any major damage to the car. Let's see, wait when he turns it around. I think he might have spun around. Let's see what happens here. Oh, it came in too hot, right, Brad?
Yeah, solo truck spin there. Got light in the rear, and then almost had it, and then lost it again. Whew, good job holding the brakes there, though, and still holding the brakes.
Yeah, now wait for everyone to get around here, and man, oh man, that was scary. I thought he was going to just back it in and be sitting there, and then he pulled like a double axle, like a figure skating move there in front of the field, and got it around. Boy, oh boy. We are halfway done with this race. Let's watch this point of view. Watch the avoidance here. Whoa.
Man. Didn't hit the truck in front and also didn't hit the truck the wrong way around. I mean,
well, he came about as close as you could get there. He didn't leave it much space.
I don't know how many times I'm going to say it tonight, but if you are not very comfortable in short track racing, this is probably not the race for you. As we ride on board with Williams here, and again, that very good avoidance, that good knowledge to go down to the low side, slow it way down, and just play it safe.
Yep, there's Thomas Sink on pit road, by the way, and Yeah, I mean, avoidance here, it's a bit of skill, it's a bit of luck. I mean, there's some luck that goes into it, but wow, boy, this has been a busy half hour. It's just like the fastest half hour in sim racing TV I could think of, as far as action and spins and bumps and bangs and tempers and penalties. And whew, I mean, you don't need a Red Bull for this race, because we're busy and pumped up here. But right now we're pacing around here. It's about 27.5 minutes ago. It's Regan, Bogue, Kirby, Kalen, and Matthew Deering. Or excuse me, Nathan. Matthew. What am I doing? Nathan Deering, your top 5. I can read. I promise I can. But boy, a couple new names up front who've made their way up here. But earlier you mentioned Richard Regan and those jumps he gets. He is possibly the best in the league at restarts, Brad, and those jumps he gets are just massive.
Yeah, and that is just being on the ball, being ready to go. He has a very clear way that he does this restart too. He kind of floors it a little bit, slows it down here, and he's going to slow it down just enough, and then he times it right before that green flag drops. He's able to floor it, get a run. Here we go, green flag out, and look at that. Able to, not as much of a run there. I think RaceSpoT was ready for him, but doggone, he's going to get it going quick though.
Yeah, I did a great job, and obviously I think being in that Discord together probably helps them, because obviously RaceSpotTV doesn't get jumped as hard as everyone else does in that restart. But there's Mark Kalen now up to 3rd. There's Andrew Sharp back in the field, back in this herd of the 2x2, if you will. I had a friend call it the Noah's Ark style of lineups. Everyone just kind of goes in 2x2.
Yeah, and it's going to stay that way for a few laps. This is the case, this is where the saying cautions breed cautions come from, is this sort of racing. When you just get back to the restart, the tires are a little cooler than they have been. Everybody's a little more antsy, a lot closer. We watch Andrew Sharp here from overhead and from his webcam here as he goes, and you can see he's really looking around, trying to figure out which way to go, but just has to kind of settle in, hold that low line, and just sort of mind your P's and Q's here for the moment.
Yeah, Andrew's doing a great job here, and we always talk about how Andrew's seeing new tracks. Andrew was a very notable road course driver. And about a year-ish ago, hold on, yellow's out. About a year-ish ago, Andrew made the move to ovals. And there's Brett Adams spun around on the outside. We've seen cars parked there before. And there he gets it looped around, trying not to go a lap down. It's okay, get in the grass, no problem there. And get yourself turned around here. But there's the pace car right behind him. So I think we'll wait and see. The pace car might actually pass. Nope, he's being told to go around the pace cars. So luckily for him, he just got out in time, so we'll wait and see what happens on that replay here. And you're right, this is that moment where cautions are breeding caution, because now, and the reason why I suspect, and you can clarify, is that every driver feels more anxious, because as time ticks off this clock, you have to be more aggressive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of that endurance race mindset, speaking of oval and road, and there's the replay. He got some help.
Oh my goodness.
I knew that left front looked bad, but I wasn't.
He got some air.
Yeah, doggone, the truck really came up. We about had a real bad wreck there. Thankfully, again, we're in a simulator, but doggone, that was rough.
It's interesting. Last season, Austin Hunter, the driver we spoke with earlier, had a moment in about 4 or 5 races where he was able to get the truck over, flipped over. We were kind of, he sort of made light of it himself last season. And so I talked to him tonight and said, hey, Austin, what's the odds that you flip the truck tonight? And we laughed, and then we moved on. And well, Brett Adams said, hey, I'll try it out. Watch this here. He's going to get bumped from Thomas Sink pretty hard. But you probably can't see it from there. But that truck slams off the wall, and at least the back end came up off the ground as he went around. Well, 23 minutes to go, or 24 minutes to go, I guess is the right word to say there. And, I think this is a problem about perspective that drivers are probably having in their heads. Everyone gets mad about the cautions because it breaks your momentum, it breaks your swing of things. But at the same time, this is what you kind of have to expect when you come to a half-mile track with 42 trucks, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, going back to the point, I was going to make a second ago, we just came off of the Daytona 24 and the iRacing Daytona 24, the Rolex 24. And, one of the things that I talk about a lot, covering road races, covering endurance races, is you have to sort of divide the race in 3 stages. It's a very aggressive front end, a very calm, a very cool, collected middle end, And then at some point, you've got to flip the switch again and go back to that aggressive push to the end. I think some drivers are flipping that third switch a little too early. They're trying to push a little too hard, a little too soon as we go back green here again with Doug Evans down in the bottom right.
Yeah, there's Doug Evans in the bottom of your screen there, the father of Jeff Evans, and they're going to try to get going. That's a beautiful triple screen setup that Doug has there. Look at that. Just sort of himself immersed in that setup there. And try to get around here. Look up on the track. We're seeing still racing pretty well. See some smoke on the track. I don't see any incidents, though. And I think it was just Nathan Deering off track that may have kicked up that smoke. So we'll stay green. Oh, look at him 3 wide back there. My goodness, people. This is just... Oh.
Again, we've still got 22 minutes to go, 22 and a half minutes to go. I think some drivers are flipping that switch to get pushing a little too early. But if you're further back in the field, you've got a long way to go if you want to go anywhere. And if you want to gain some positions, gain some points, we get a replay here. And yeah, there's the number 5. That was a help and a half if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, nope. Oh, caution's out. So we'll come back to this in a moment because caution's now out on the track. And we'll wait and see exactly what happened. That's Matt Gagnon spun around. Matt was very, very happy last week. Had a podium finish, a second-place finish at the Chicago Street Course, and maybe will not fare as well today. Here he's going to come around. That's Thomas Sink. I don't know. I mean, oh boy, that's interesting. Yeah, Thomas Sink hitting from behind. That's not debatable, but like, I don't know if Matt was full speed or if Matt maybe came down. That's going to be an interesting call.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell, too, from that because, you know, that's a 6 one way, half dozen the other sort of perspective, too. Here's a
Get in here.
Good onboard. Yeah, let's... it's very hard to say what happened there. I kind of... I sort of want to call that, you know, sort of to bow out here. I kind of want to call that a racing incident and just say it's one of the things that happens.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a race control decision. They can label things that way, I do believe, but, you know, I mean, our everyday driving standards teaches us that typically the car who hits from behind is usually at fault, so I think that's always the default decision until you can prove otherwise. But, man, as I said, you know, Mark Kalin, Bradley Holly, and the others who are race control are going to have a busy, busy review night. So I do not envy them on nights like this. And boy, oh boy, I mean, this is just going around here. I've lost track of the caution count, but with 20 minutes to go, it's just busier and busier as time goes. Richard Regan continues to lead. His teammate Reese Bogue behind him. Mark Kalin's in 3rd. Kirby, Daniel Knight, Bradley Holly's up in 6th. So there's still a lot of movement across this field. I mean, the one thing that hasn't really moved too much has been our leader. But behind him, this field has been up and down all night long about names up in the top 10.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at that here on our back end. You know, Mark Kalin is up 17 places on the day there in P3. Dustin Bumgarner is up 20. Garrett Austin's up 15. Steve Loving is up 21. I mean, we've got multiple drivers up a crazy amount of positions, but at the same time, we've got drivers that are down just as many. Nicholas Schwartz is down 16. Thomas Sink is down 10. We're getting ready to go green. Let's see who can invert what where.
Yeah, this is from Mark Kalin's point of view, and you see his webcam as well. Got that beautiful sim racing room, and you see Regan got the jump, and now Kalin's going to stick to the inside of Reese Bogue. There should have been some contact there, I thought. I don't know how they avoided that, but Kalin's now going to try to stick to the inside. He wants to get up to P2. He's going to battle Reese Bogue. He may have backed out just to make sure there's no contact. I said that too soon because they are still racing hard.
Man, look at the focus on his face, too. Mark Kalin, you can see almost, it looks like he's biting his cheeks, just trying to focus to keep that truck moving there in the top 3 as we go through. You can see they're starting to, again, they're trying to single file it and short track it. And it's just, it's very hard to make that work with this number of trucks. This close to the end here, it's going to be hard fought to see anyone really sort of settle in. Looked like there was a spin there through turn 4.
Caution's out.
We keep going, and yeah.
There's Nick Schwartz again on the pit road. There's one of those green Sim Racing Expo machines down on pit road. I'm not sure if those are related or separate. But for, once again, this race, pardon me, Nick Schwartz is going to be involved in an incident here at this track. And this is a long-standing track. I was surprised. I mean, well, let's watch this replay first here. This would be Adams up in front of him. No contact, no contact. I think Schwartz lost that on his own.
Yeah.
I mean, this came around. He was battling hard with Adams, was down on an apron. And that apron's not really meant for a lot of racing, and I think he just sort of lost grip and got it looped around there. But I was going to say, I was surprised today, Brad, when I was doing my research before the race. I'll admit I didn't know a lot about this track. I knew it was a short track. I've only raced it maybe once in iRacing. This track was built and opened in like 1870. This track is well over 100 years old.
Yeah, Stafford has been around for a very long time. As it stood in, it started as actually an agricultural park as it came through, and then it ran mostly equestrian stuff until World War II came through, whenever they started to bring in sprint cars and stock cars, and it was a dirt track for the longest time. They paved it, I think, late 60s, early 70s
Yeah, I think
was
it
when
was
they
70s,
actually decided
yeah.
to pave it.
Yeah, it actually got its NASCAR license as a dirt track in the 50s is how it started, with NASCAR racing at least. And you're right, then it became a paved track, I think in 70 or 71, and then from there, typically hosts your smaller race cars, you know, your SK modifieds and things of that nature. You don't typically see your top NASCAR series go here, but this is one of those moments where in that sort of the iRacing off season, where we're not really on the NASCAR schedule. We put some weird stuff out here. I mean, you know, the NASCAR officials went to Five Flag Speedway a couple weeks ago. They've been to Chicago Street Course. We've done some of the legacy tracks. There's a lot of drivers who are excited to hear we're going to get back to the NASCAR schedule soon and maybe stop with some of these more offbeat, you know, tracks.
I am of the opinion that the offbeat tracks are what separate the men from the boys. That is a very controversial opinion. I think when you take a car and a track together that shouldn't be together, you throw them together, you really see the drivers that are comfortable, and you really see the drivers that just, you know, kind of practice that traditional craft. We're going green again. 15 minutes to go here.
Well, speaking of comfortable, let's see how comfortable Reese Bogue is on the outside. I mean, as you said all night long, he is the best at keeping up with Richard Regan on a restart. He can't quite stay there, but he makes a run at it. He's very respectable in it here, and now he's got both Mark Kalin and Daniel Knight behind him, both trying to run him down. But, whew, I mean, Richard Regan's just the best. I mean, he really is the best at the restarts. But looking back here, and there's plenty of trucks up and down this field trying to make moves, trying to get spots. There's Andrew Sharp pulling in line. There's the 21 behind Ted Lowendick. Jeff Evans down there. 84 is down now at below Thomas Cinco. There's a big wreck.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. The 19's involved. The 23. No caution. We are green. We are green. That has got to be addressed. That's Nicholas Hunter, of all people, down there. We saw him off the track earlier. But we are green. Those drivers are going to come around and find that wreck really quick if they haven't already.
Looks like it's already cleared itself up. I saw the 33 was involved in that. If Kyle Dewey was running very slow on the high line there. Yeah, that was
now the caution.
And there's the caution. That was a delayed call out.
I think there's a second incident. Look at the smoke right there. Is that Dewey again?
Yeah, that was.
I shouldn't say again. That may be Dewey just still hurt from the wreck before, but that was Dewey. They just went around, who was pointed backwards.
No, Dewey had gotten going again, so I have a feeling that this was a second incident. Here's the first one. That's the 41 and the 5 coming together. Everybody checks up. 19 comes around. The 60, the 33, the 109 goes low. And so that's the first incident that we saw. And here we go. There's Dewey up on the high line. He just goes very slow. He gets a bump there of the 5. I mean, and then he just gets back going. No harm, no foul. But what happened after the fact?
Now let's keep. Well, if we could have kept with that view, I think we would have found it eventually. But I think we're going to get there regardless, and we'll see what caused Kyle Dewey to be spun around. There it is. He's all by himself in the corner. Likely came in too hot, or maybe got on a brake slate.
Ooh.
Oh, that's the 19. That is definitely, wow. That 19.
Somebody's not going to be happy.
That's Nicholas Hunter. Who those guys were involved in both of those incidents.
I have a feeling that Nicholas Hunter is not going to be very happy about where he finds himself. And then,
oh, look at there's Regan now had to navigate those trucks.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Weird sequence of events there. I'm not going to lie, but you know, we get it back going here, back under caution, and Yeah, weird sequence of events. I gotta say, I do feel for Dewey tonight, though. He's had a rough run of it there. Kyle Dewey has.
So in those corners, let's talk about that incident with Dewey for a second. When you come into a corner like that, and the truck sort of comes around back end first, quote unquote, likely is that to slam on the brakes too hard? Is that braking too late? Is that never braking? What probably causes that?
So the one thing with the trucks that you have to get really comfortable with is the idea that the back has no weight. These are very front end heavy trucks, so it's very easy for those rear tires to just sort of say, you know what, I don't want to do it today. And so you'll have those moments where the bed will come out and around because the only thing in the back is a gas tank. The engine, majority of all the weight for this truck is on the front end, so that's usually what you see when that back end goes forward.
All right, we got another attempt at a restart, and here they are. This time, though, I mean, everyone's pretty bunched in together. No one's going to let RaceSpoke down. The 17's right there. He is convinced to stick right on the back bumper of Richard Regan. This will be a different restart than we're used to, and right now the 17 is there. Oh, my goodness, him and RaceSpoke just about made contact when Reese was coming down, but all is good. Hold on, caution, there it is in the back of the field. That's Mike Toomer Jr. First time we've seen that tonight. I mean, this is the thing about the iRacing caution system, which is what this league uses, is that he's pulled around sideways as cars are coming around at full speed, and you can argue what was and wasn't a caution. That's the good old thing we do in sports. We like to pick apart the nuances, but boy, oh boy, that definitely was a caution, Brad.
I mean, at least it's not high school basketball referees that love to just kind of make up rules on the fly here. iRacing.
He's running around right there in front of the field. I mean, you understand why it's a caution, but you can argue, though, if that, the logic would be if that's a caution, then why not blah? And unfortunately, when you're using an automated system to make a decision, you can't always use logic like that, right?
Yeah, it's not always perfect how they make the decisions on it. The general rule is that if a truck is going to be sitting 45 degrees or more on the racing surface and is running significantly slower than the field, then the system traditionally will throw out a caution. It doesn't always work like that. It's not always perfect because it is trying to factor in pace. So sometimes when you get those weird places, the spins mid-corner, especially depending on where they're at, it's not a perfect system, but it's better than a lot of others that, we could have and I've seen. So, and it's also, better than the manual version of needing someone to just sit and look and type in a command to throw a caution every single time something happens, and then that person gets critiqued. At least, this one is just us saying, well, what's the system deciding?
Yeah, we've seen both, right? I've definitely seen it both ways. I have seen some leagues and special events where both get criticized. There's never... Sim racers are fickle in our opinions, right? We're never short on opinions. We'll tell you what we think, and often we are not out of opinions ever. So there's a lot to be criticized and judged and critiqued and picked apart and nitpicked and what have you. But now we're less than 10 minutes to go here as we're working this caution. I would suspect, Brad, we have one, maybe two cautions left to go here before we're done, as we're just sort of staring there at the side of the track. But this is the restart zone. That's why we're staring there. And green flag is out as Richard Regan is there. That was a beautiful scenic shot by our cameraman, Dustin Allis. But there we go. Green flag is back out. And Richard Regan again is back around. Look at him here. It's this Thomas Synchrony inside. That's one of the top of roster cards. Jacob Dunn out there, or James Morgan out there, I should say. Doing a great job here. And all right, the caution's out again. And I believe it's going to involve Colton Lane. That's Garrett Austin.
Garrett Austin.
I heard Colton Lane yelling. I know that. I heard him through the iRacing radio is upset, and I think he's saying he might have been involved or he might have been the cause. So let's watch from the bottom of that 60 machine.
He's already missing that right front fender.
Yeah, he's definitely involved. He said it might have been me. Yeah, that might have been you, bud.
That's a little bit more than a might. Yeah. That was a lick the stamp and send him on up.
Certainly was. So a caution's out again. So I said I thought we had one, maybe two more left in this, and that was based on time. Watch this again here. Yep. I mean, and listen, and it's not as aggressive as maybe it looked at first. It's just simply on the bottom of the corner, and the way the track moves, you know, you can't hold that corner all the way through. This is not possible, and you're gonna send it around, have them like there's Colton Lane now on pit road, and boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, my concern is with the penalty system that the PRL has for number of incidents per race. I'm starting to get concerned how many trucks don't get to race at Homestead next week. I think that's starting to become maybe a concern, if you will. I will wait and see, and we'll let race control decide that. But yeah,
yeah. Good luck to race control, because I think depending on how strict adherence they run to that rule, we might end up with a no race
a
next
5-car
week.
race.
Yeah, because there's a lot of these trucks that have had a lot of moments. If you go up and down this field, there is not a single truck that does not have at least one dent on a fender, a bumper, something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out here. And here's Edward Pellets. He's going to get the lucky dog. He's been one of numerous recipients of that award tonight, so he'll come around the field. And, well, we're going to get paced around here. And are we doubling it up already? Yep, lights in the pace car are out, so we're 1 to go here. So we'll go green with about 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go. So we're running about 2.5, 3-minute yellows. So, I mean, I hope we don't need more, but every time we have a yellow, it looks more and more. And again, now here we are in that moment where you talked about flipping that late switch, and that's what they're doing. But here we go. Flipping the switch on the green flag will be Barney the flagman any moment now. There it is. And again, the 17 does an incredible job at not letting RaceSpoke down.
And here we go. 17's going to go low. There's a slide, and there's more slides. Woo! And the 4, RaceSpoke still getting tapped.
That's Mark Kalin. That's Mark
Oh my
Kalin. That's
gosh.
the save.
There's a big
Hold
one.
on. Now that had been brewing for a corner to the straightaway. I mean, the 17, Dean and I decided he wasn't going to let RaceSpoke again, and they were bumping and they were checking people up, and my goodness, watch this here. Say, watch Mark Kalin here on the bottom. He gets tapped, maybe taps Bradley Holly, then he gets tapped by Lowendick. Then this is where the big checkup happens. You both tap into Rasa cars back there. Jeff Evans gets spun around.
How did he get out of that second run around?
Boy, oh boy.
Wow.
Well, so it may be cold across the U.S., Brad, but it is some hot tempers, I bet, inside those Discord rooms.
Yeah, there are some unhappy drivers here as we go back to this replay. 51 just gets tapped, sent around, and then just stopped in the middle of the track, goes low. People trying to avoid low. I mean, there's like 20 cars there. It's easier to name the trucks that weren't involved in that than the trucks that were involved in that.
You almost, well, let's watch one more view here. Let's be from the 5. He's going to get spun at the last second. He just tried to race his way through, and I get that feeling, right, of just wanting to get through there. But start saying, oh, man, watching this wreck right here, you know, it's like when you go into a room and you turn a light on, and like the cockroaches just sort of scatter across the room. That's what it felt like right there.
That is exactly what it was. That's, again, you kind of get one of two mentalities when there's a big spin of cars on a very small track. Some people try to drive their way through it, fingers crossed, and go, did I make it through? Some drivers will just completely stop in the middle of the track, depending on what they can do, and then tiptoe their way through. I have personally always been the driver that will tiptoe my way through because I'd like to just make it through, but some guys will just floor it, and they kind of see it as a quick way to gain positions. One more replay here, and it all started with that 62 of Mark Kalin drifting it through turns 1 and 2, and then just, you got a lot of beat up trucks there.
A lot of 34s involved again. I think I missed that in the first run of the replay and everything. But the one message that really came across, I don't know if there was something said to him first, but RaceSpoke in the 4, I'm pretty sure he was just responding to not being let in by the 17. He yelled out, "That's a big 10-4, buddy." So I think RaceSpoke got the message. This is going to be a dogfight here as we go. All right, now once again, maybe, hopefully for the last time, Richard Regan leads us around. The 17's up on the back end of Richard Regan. And again, the 17 is doing a great, RaceSpoke says, no, I'll get in here. I'll work my way in, and he worked his way in.
Yeah, RaceSpoke was very quick to shut the door there, and now Daniel Knight's got to run through. 48's dropped all the way low there. He's just trying to get out of the way.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Penalty serve. He comes down pit road. There's also Colton Lane down there. So a couple of late race penalties. Those would be awful.
It's going to really hurt the race. 3 minutes left to go here, though. And I think it's all to play for at this point. 109 getting feisty. Let's go 3 wide again. Oh,
I mean, we've been 3 wide the rest of the night. Why should we not do it now with 3 minutes to go? But here we go. There's the 109 getting the pass. Here's Matt Gagnon trying to work his way back through. He's going to come up around Ted Lowendick. Cautions out. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Now the clock is literally ticking as the 21 is around. My goodness, that's Steve Lovett. And I say the clock is ticking, Brad, because I'm not sure if we're done.
I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to wait for a word from race control if we get any. But let's see what's going to happen here.
The 21 just tried to clear himself high.
Yeah,
the 171.
Yeah, that's called not clear, driver.
Yeah, spotters yelling, not clear, and kind of just said, okay, I'll turn right.
Watch this from Nicholas Schwartz. 171, man, again, he's involved.
And a driver that can't catch a break tonight. Some drivers have had it real lucky. Some drivers haven't been able to kind of keep themselves off the screen here.
What's that line from Days of Thunder? I want you to hit the pace car. Why? That's the only thing you haven't hit tonight. Well, that's how some of these guys are going to feel here on the track. This is from, oh my goodness, that's from Steve Loving. You see the name on the back of the fin there.
Yeah, he wasn't even remotely clear.
Well, he was not loving that, I'll tell you that. All right, well, Richard Regan is leading us around. Reese Bogue, Daniel Knight, Bradley Holly, Andrew Sharp's up to P5, Lowendick, Matt Gagnon's back up to P7. I mean, again, let's look at this board again. That means you point out Mark Kalen's up 12 spots. James Morgan's in P9. He's up 21 spots. Dustin Baumgartner plus 21. Ryan Newman, by the way, up in P15 is plus 23. I mean, up and down the field as it's gone so many different ways for so many different people. But it is definitely a positive night for some and a negative night for others. We're 40-some seconds on the clock here. We're going to keep an eye on both Regan and the pace car. If we're going to go green, the lights are going to go out this time by, and I'm not sure what we're going to do here. Did it go out? I can't tell. It did go out. Oh boy. This is going to be 1 to go. Legitimately 1 to go. It's either going to be, well, it's going to be a white flag. And the problem's going to be if we take the white flag, iRacing is not going to put a caution out, Brad. If Richard Regan gets around here to the white flag, which I think he will, unless they wreck before he gets to the flag stands. Let's see here. Any moment now, the green flag is going to drop right there. And
wow.
1 second to go. White flag is out. This is a one-lap shootout. Cautions are off. But don't wreck someone here. Don't be dumb because it's still going to get reviewed. But boy, look at that. The 17 is trying hard. He's trying to keep Reese Bogue blocked in. Bradley Holly's coming through. But Richard Regan is walking away out of 3 and 4. And once again, the second most winningest driver in PRL wins at Stafford as they wreck behind him.
And Daniel Knight stole second place there on the exit of 4. And wow, if there wasn't a pileup before, I think the pileup at the checkered flag, that's just a good sum up of the night. I was gonna try to see who went where, but pretty much everyone from 4th place back, I'm pretty sure ended up spinning out at the liner before.
Yeah, watch this here. This is at the flag here, and that's afterwards. But boy, oh boy, Richard Regan, maybe the only happy driver in the field. He's gonna burn it down, and whoa, that was the pace car that went by. I thought maybe someone was gonna light him up there, but boy, oh boy.
I think Richard Regan is the only driver that actually still has all 4 fenders on that truck too.
Well, and he wasn't a clean driver either. Remember, he had some incidents earlier. So I mean, even he's gonna have some moments tonight. Wow. All right, well, results are ready. Let's take a look at how this all finished out, because it's kind of a scatter, so it's hard to tell from the regular eyesight. Richard Regan, wow, I'm so sorry, guys. Regan Bogue Motorsports is your winner, followed by Daniel Knight in the 17, Reese Bogue finishes P3. So those guys will gain a lot of points in the team standings. Bradley Holly finishes P4 with Andrew Sharp in P5. Ted Lowendick, Mark Kalin, Matt Gagnon, Dustin Baumgartner, and James Morgan round out your top 10, Brad.
And from there, we're going to go P11, Ryan Newman, who was up 27 places on the day. P12, Jacob Dunn, Garrett Austin in 13th, Zachary Williams in P14, Zachary Burnt in P15, Nathan Deering in P16, Steve Loving 17th place, Thomas Sink in 18th, Mike Toomer Jr. up in P19, and Edward Peltz in 20 here, Derek.
Moving back in the low 21st is Colton Lane, followed by Nicholas Schwartz and Dalton Geyer. Then Joey Reynolds in 24th, Stephen Kirby in 25th, and Jeff Evans in P26. These are all cars one lap or more down as of this point. Jeff's dad, Doug, finishes 27th. Brett Adams in 28th. Cal Gill in 29th, up from his did not qualify Spark 3 laps down. And Evan Williams rounds out your top 30.
And moving on for the majority of the rest of the field, Tom Macy in 31st, Nicholas Hunter in 32nd, Matthew Surswick in 33rd, Kyle Dewey in 34th, Doyle Lawrence in 35th, Stacy Hunter 36th, Brendan Chatley 37th, Kevin McGarvey 38th, Alex Hillman 39th, Austin Hunter in 40th, and just a couple more trucks to finish it out. Zach Panzarella and Colton Easterday, the 42 trucks that took on Stafford Speedway here, Derek.
Never would have guessed there'd have been 42 trucks at this track. That's so crazy. My goodness, just more trucks than ever at the shortest track. Well, I think the only driver who maybe enjoyed this evening is our winner. That's Richard Regan Jr. Richard, once again, you're a winner on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's nice to come to Stafford for once. Yeah, I'm only 20 minutes away from Stafford, so I guess technically this is my home track now. So it was nice to come in here, and we had more green flag racing than I thought we would have. It honestly wasn't terrible. The truck felt pretty good, so I think if we come back here in the future, I think people will learn from this first time, and we might get even more green flag racing next time.
So talk me through. I have to admit that, you know, I was surprised, Darren, about 20 minutes in, yourself and others went ahead and pitted and took tires. How confident were you that was going to work? Were you ever scared that maybe track position was more important than tires?
I was. I was a little nervous with how many people stayed out, but I knew that I had a good idea of how to get around the track, and if I was patient, then I'd be fine. I got into Nick Schwartz, but I think he got loose, and it was kind of a racing deal. If that was my fault, I apologize. And then also would like to apologize to the lap car that I got into to cause that caution. I thought he was giving me the lane, and he wasn't, and I was locked up on the brake and couldn't slow down anymore. But so we'll see what happens for next week with if I get a qualifying penalty or not. And if I do, then it should be fun to see me try to race my way up at one of my favorite racetracks.
Well, it'll be a much bigger track. You'll have more space to do it with. At least that's the good news. I'm going to ask you the question that's really not answerable, but why is it we went to the shortest track, the craziest track of the season, and we had the most trucks? Why do we put 42 trucks here?
Well, so I wasn't here last week because I was in Daytona, but I'm gonna go off.
Nice there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off a whim and say that either a lot of people had a bad race last week, or didn't show up last week and use that as their drop, or B, people trying to save their drop week for the 2 or 3 super speedways we got coming up. So it's definitely a challenging season with all the different tracks. You know, the cookie cutter tracks are going to be the easiest tracks for the majority of the field, and then, you know, super speedways. In the past, PRL, we've done really good. You know, most of the time we have little to no cautions. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how Daytona goes and New Atlanta. And, you know, I think we got a road course. We got COTA coming up in the schedule too. So there's definitely a lot of people trying to play a strategy game on when they do and don't use their drop week, would be my guess.
All right, well, listen, congrats once again on the win. Proud to see you up here and happy to talk to you again. We'll let you go celebrate and have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to State Analyzer, Neonism Paints. Congrats to Jussie on winning Paint of the Year this year on Trading Paints. JC Photography, Mission 22, Multiple Sclerosis Society, everybody at Regenboog Motorsports. They did great tonight. For the majority of us, had a couple of incidents, but overall not too bad. I got to give a shout out to everybody that puts on the league at PRL and you guys at RaceSpot.
Did I miss it, or did you not shout out the Cupcake Company?
I'll give a shout out to Kaylee Sweet Creations as well. Why not?
No, I've not gotten my free cupcake yet, but all is well.
Yeah,
All right,
well,
Richard, go ahead.
you know,
Sorry.
the cross country shipping is a little difficult with that
I get
one.
it.
When you come out to New England, we'll get you some cupcakes.
Ooh, there's an invite. All right, good to know. Richard, great night, and we'll see you next week in Homestead.
Thank you guys.
All right, that's Richard Regan finishing first tonight in this race, and I think Brad has now caught up with our second place finisher, the 17 of Daniel Knight.
Yeah, Daniel Knight pulling out the second place there at the end on the final restart. Did you think you had it there going into that final restart for second place, or did you think you were going to have third?
Honestly, I was happy with either one for being the first race back in a while, but I figured as long as I didn't, slide the rears like everybody else was doing up into Reese again, that I might be able to get him coming off the line. But that was tough. I mean, for as many of those restarts there were some good racing for the laps and a half that we got at a time.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch, just all the runs with the restarts. Did the number of restarts help you kind of settle it in for how to run with Reese and Richard there up in the front?
I don't know. It got me really good practice at timing restarts, and it's always tough when you got teammates on the front row because they can coordinate and they know when they're going to go. So I think it was good just getting the practice and kind of seeing when Richard was launching in the zone, just trying to get the best start I could and stay alongside Reese into turn one and try to beat him off the line. After that, I had no idea if I was going to be able to catch up to Richard, but I'm just taking it one truck at a time.
Yeah, and Daniel, I gotta ask, how much practice did you put in for this? How did you prepare to run these trucks here at Stafford? Because we kind of talked about it during the broadcast, not running those traditional tracks, kind of following the traditional schedule, throwing in some curveballs like this track. What did it take for you to get prepared and get ready for this race?
Well, I mean, short tracks are big on my favorite list. I like these flatter, shorter tracks. I'm good at Milwaukee and places like that. So already had that feeling confident coming into this track, and then just did a couple of official races. Most of those were caution fest as well, so they ended up being good practice for tonight. But just repetition, trying to get as many laps down and not overdrive the corners, and getting back into actually brake control and throttle control coming off. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoy these tracks. I'll probably be the only one to say that this week, but I enjoy these tracks a lot.
I think there's a few people that'll say it, but Daniel, it was awesome to see you run through that final lap shootout there where you got up into second. Was awesome to watch. It's going to go on a highlight reel for me personally. Congrats there on the second place, and we look forward to see what you do here over the next few weeks.
Awesome. Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Awesome, and thank you.
That is Daniel Knight finishing P2 here on the evening. Now let's go ahead and step up down one on the podium and talk to Reese Bogue. Reese, a really great run tonight. Once you got to the front, you looked like you had a lot of fun keeping up with Richard.
Yeah, honestly, I love the short track stuff. I've grown up doing the short track stuff, and even in iRacing, I loved it. Honestly, Stafford, I guess for me and Rich, it's kind of like a home track as far as PRL goes, because we both lived in Connecticut at one point. I moved, he's still there, but it's only about an hour and a half from my house. So really, it was like a home game for us tonight. But yeah, it was fun. Had a little bit of the contact there at the end, which was crazy, but to be expected. It's short track racing the trucks. But so all that was fun, just trying to kind of stay up front, and yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about that actually, because I heard through iRacing comms, I think that the last or next to last restart, you and the 17 got some door banging going on, and I heard you yell, "That's a Big 10-4, buddies!" If you got the message, was that a message of, "Hey, we're going to fight hard"? Was that a little bit of anger coming out? Well, I know a Big 10-4 means a lot of things. It's like when you say "bless her heart" in the South. In that moment, what did Reese Bogue mean by "that's a Big 10-4"?
I guess by the tone, I wanted to say I was a little bit upset, but I think he said something before. I didn't really hear him, and basically I was just saying 10-4, like I got you, whatever you're saying or whatever he's doing there. So whatever, it was nothing derogatory. I was just saying I got what he was sending. I don't know if he sent a message or he said something. I can't remember exactly, but I was just telling him I understood what he was saying. But at that point, I think it was a little frustration. It's kind of heated moment. I'm like, man, like almost saw my night go up in smoke right there, literally. But yeah, you know, it was good, and we both made it to the finish there. So.
Well, a good night for you, for yourself and Richard as part of actual Regan Bogue Motorsports in the standings. You guys made up a lot of points on Whataback tonight. So as we now head into Homestead and Daytona on the back-to-back Florida races, what's your outlook?
Man, I'm gonna just have to say survival and running laps. For me right now, it's a little hard to practice because start a new job and I'm gone about 12 hours a day, and by the time I get back, I'm pretty exhausted. So you know, it really is just running laps. So finding time, especially like Homestead, where I can get some practice in and run the line there, and then for Daytona, it's really just all about team. So get some drafting partners. I know me and Rich normally work pretty well together. So we'll see about Daytona. It's always a wild card, but as far as Homestead goes, focus on that. Just looking to run some laps and see what we can pick up for next week.
All right, well, Reese, great run tonight. Congrats on the podium, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Want to give a quick shout out to Marconi Setup Shop, Ryan Newman and Associates, Stint Analyzer, Warehouse Dividing, and everybody else, Regan Bogue Motorsports, and all you guys for putting this on.
All right, thanks, Reese. And again, we'll see you next week. Well, that is your top three, Brad. Funny, you mentioned to me privately in a message. You said, hey, somehow the top three enjoyed this race. I think it has to do with the fact they finished top three.
It has to. I think a lot of drivers are going to have a lot of mixed love for Stafford after this race. And I think if you're a Mr. Hedge iRacing photography, you are going to have a lot of moments to choose from for what you want photos of. Some drivers are going to want to forget it. Some people are going to be real happy to see them.
Well, for Richard Regan, there's one obvious choice of a photo he'll take it to be with his checkered flag, as he is the winner here tonight at Stafford Motor Speedway. For Brad Dalton, next to me in the booth, for Dustin Ollis producing the race tonight, I am Derek Watson. Join us 1 week tonight, myself and Evan Pasoko at Homestead, Miami Speedway. You can watch this race and every race on the archives and the Race Spot YouTube channel. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for being in chat. Thanks for watching along, and we'll see you next week in Florida.